Not ready for the deep squat. Ha! Oh, deep squat with the clap. You guys weren't ready for all that. Sumo squat with the clap. You're not getting that anywhere else. Anyways, guys, let's get into it. Coach Colin here. Now, this is a very odd episode. Tinfoil Speedo on right away. Now, I got a little bit of Joe, got a little bit of Richard Dolan, got a little bit of Danny Jones, and a little bit of Nathaniel Gillis in my interview with him. Now that I've done this interview with Nathaniel Gillis, I've been looking at alien abductions as being something very different. Now, there's not just alien abductions that happen. If you wander into the world of abductions, you will start to see that it's not just people getting probed. It's people doing the thing, you know? They're doing stuff as well. It's very weird. Now, Joe's going to talk a little bit about that from what he's heard about Richard Dolan's book and this hybridization program, alien-human hybrid type of thing. And then we're going to go into Richard Dolan talking about that a little bit, his experiences, not direct experiences, but research. And then Danny Jones talks to someone who's done a whole documentary on this stuff. And then we're going to go to Nathaniel Gillis and his theory, because now his theory starts to make, I don't want to say more sense, but more sense than what we know about alien abductions. It's really weird stuff. Let's jump into Joe first, and then we'll do the rest of the list.
Ruins any altruism my boy's gonna have for the rest of his life. I'm like, what's your name? He's like, Chris, what's your name? Nice southern, voice, just sweet as could be. Give him the food, give him the coffee. He's like, it's thirsty, thank you so much. And like, just the sweetest guy ever. And then he's like, what month is this? Like a time traveler, man.
Maybe he is. I'm reading this Richard Dolan book. I should clarify. I'm actually listening. There's a real difference. There is a difference between reading and listening. I listen to mostly audiobooks, but I will say I read a book that I didn't read. But this one I'm listening to. And this Richard Dolan book is all about these different hybrids of aliens and humans that have been encountered in various people's abduction experiences that are the same story. Cool. The same story over and over and over again, universally worldwide. And there's a bunch of different types of hybrids that they've sort of documented.
What are they?
Well, they think that what's going on is, the best guess is they're doing some sort of genetic engineering, either on humans or have done it on humans, or are using human DNA for maybe another project they're doing. But it has something to do with breeding, and it has something to do with genetic engineering. But like, some of them say that they're forced to have sex with female aliens, like a female sexy alien comes in, and but it sounds real. It doesn't sound like it really happened, but it sounds like if I was an alien and, I was running science experiments. Yeah. One best way to make it like the least traumatic to get the jizz out of your body is to devise a really hot, like, female alien that's mostly like a woman, like almost entirely like a human woman.
Do you think they tried other ones before they got to like a hot woman?
I think every now and then they need some pure human DNA, and that's when they get a dude to f*** her.
Oh, dude.
And they're probably the most sensual, the sweetest, because they need the most. They want all of it. They want all that.
How lucky are you? How lucky are you to get picked?
One of these guys in this story had this recurring experience.
Oh, man, that would be just so wonderful to realize that you'd been picked in this hot...
I think it would ruin your life. I think it would make going back to work impossible. You just f***ed an alien. Now you have to do paperwork. You have to do nonsense, stupid paperwork for your insurance company. When last night you f***ed an alien... You went into a craft that was the size of a VW bus, and inside of it was like a football stadium. Yeah. And then you got down with this female alien in a sexy time room.
7 feet. 7 beautiful feet. And, you're...
She has 7 feet? Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
I think it's a human-looking alien.
Well, if you're genetically engineering something to f*** Like, why does it have to?
Because it has to turn the guy on.
Guys, this is a serious message. As you can see, I'm not even in uniform. I'm not wearing the signature hat. So, very serious message. 59% of you are not subscribed. Please, guys, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500,000 subscribers. The road is long, but I know that we can do it. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notifications. Please hit the like. If you want to keep seeing this content, if you want to help me move from being the Joe Rogan clip guy onto better, greener pastures, you got to hit the like. You got to hit the subscribe. It helps me tremendously. That is all I ask. Let's get back to the episode.
He said it was like a sexy woman, but just something was different.
No, I mean, it's a sexy...
like Species. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was exactly what that movie was about, right?
You would...
That's right. That was a good movie. Not really, but a fun movie.
No, that was
fun. A fun movie.
That was fun. I like that guy on the left. What's his name? That actor on the very left.
The dude who played Gandhi.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley. He's been in a lot of weird shit. It's crazy that guy played Gandhi.
He plays a good gangster, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he plays a real good gangster.
What did he play the gangster in? What was that? I fucking loved it. That Irish gangster movie.
Right. I can't remember.
It was, god damn, that was good.
But he was really good in it. He was spooky. Like, yo, settle down.
Yeah.
So that's where that talk ends for them. They bounce around, but they don't bounce back to this subject. But just to say really quick, some of you are old enough. Some of you, like I, were born in the 1900s. So you'll remember. But for those of you that don't know, the movie Species, right, towards what we're talking about, was about a shape-shifting alien who would look like this gorgeous Russian lady. I say Russian, is blonde hair, blue eyes. Just perfect. Smoke show, respectively. And she would change into... her real form was like this. You don't even say lizard. It was just like this alien, just this green alien thing. And that was what she would turn into. And there were scenes where she'd be like kissing somebody. And I think her tongue would go like down into their bodies, like in like down their throat, into their stomach. I think one time it went through a guy's head. It was a wild movie, man. My mom let me see that movie when I was a kid in theaters. It was a wild movie, but very interesting how I would love to, when you see movies like that, I would love to know what the director knew, what the screenwriter knew. Like, what were you doing? Because a lot of times we think, oh, they're just making up stories, but it's really not that. A lot of times they're basing it on something. They hear about a story and they're like, okay, let's make something around this. I wonder what they knew, especially knowing how wild Hollywood is in terms of the occult and baby oil and whatnot. Like, what did they know? Because it kind of makes a lot of sense today. Now, let's jump into, remember what they were talking about, this hybridization, right? Joe was not forgetting things. He wasn't making things up. That was real. There was a guy getting into a spaceship. It was small. When you get inside, size of a football field, which kind of touches on quantum mechanics in some way that I will not try to explain. I just heard that before. And this guy was continuously having this relationship with this alien woman. It was very real. And also, he never stopped talking about it. So when guys like Joe say, oh, I don't really think it happened, I'm the opposite. I think it did. I don't see you having this type of thing for 50 years, because the person he's talking about is named David Huggins. David Huggins has been having these experiences for 50 years, since he was small. Very small. First, they would appear to him. As he got older, the woman that he calls Crescent ended up showing up, and him and Crescent just had this ongoing relationship where she would come and she would have a human body, complete smoke, alien smoke show, and have an alien head. So have the big eyes, the small mouth, and then hair like a woman. That's it. That's what he would see. And she would come back and say, we have kids, and show him the kids. And he claims that he has seen hundreds, because this was going on all the time. They were, as the kids say, getting it in. Really, really getting it in. Let's jump over here. Richard Dolan, not the best back in the day with his podcast. This is 2019, so this is just the audio, but let's listen.
I feel so alone.
Okay, so of course I have it on 2.5 speed because that's how we do it here. Let's go back to normal.
In society, but at the same time, she was really, I think, giving a call for strength from those people, and really was quite inspiring, very inspiring with what she had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So what about the missing embryo, missing fetus syndrome? That was a big part of this. Is this something that you guys are able to talk about here?
Sure. I'll start this one off, I guess. In the research that we've done over the last couple of years, we've spoken to a lot of women who have become pregnant, and then within the first trimester, all of a sudden will go to an appointment with their doctor, and then all of a sudden, overnight, the fetus is gone.
Right.
And in some cases, women know their bodies, and they talk about how, I'm telling you that it was there 1 second and not the next. And a lot of, and some of them also remember having strange experiences, abduction experiences that the night before, the week before. So that ties into that phenomena. And we heard this story from not one, not two, but several women. And that piqued our interest. And when John and I were talking about this film, we're like, that has to be a part. It's part of what's going on here. It ties into trying to gain a better understanding of what the phenomena is. It's about being abducted, but it's also what happens after the abduction, because there are actually several abductions, and there's a process to whatever these ETs are doing. There's a process to it. So that's what that was all about.
It was an absolutely fascinating part of it, and I wonder if we can stay on this a little bit because it's such a dramatic event. I mean, a woman who's pregnant suddenly is missing, is not pregnant any longer, and the medical establishment does have prosaic explanations for this, of course, but in this treatment of yours, I think you guys make it clear that that doesn't necessarily seem very persuasive. I mean, these people are having apparent, pretty clear abduction experiences in connection with this that they often explicitly remember, right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's going on there. Now, this is a podcast. It's from Richard Dolan's YouTube channel. It's Richard Dolan Intelligent Disclosure. Now, and again, it's a little harder. Back in the day, you could get away with putting a podcast up with no video, but that doesn't go on today. So sorry for that, but the information is very important. So they're talking about somebody actually being pregnant and then not being pregnant. Now, when I hear that, before, I would be like, oh, that's very weird. Maybe there's a correlation. But the way Nathaniel explains it makes so much sense. And that's the reason I always say that there should be a council of people who get together, and it should be like an occultist. It should be someone who is, religious, a priest or something. Like just people from all different, a UFOologist, a physicist. Like there should just be people all together, someone in the military. There should be people all together so they can really hash things out, because these guys are talking about this. But then when I go over to Nathaniel, he's a demonologist, right? And if these guys would be willing to sit down with a demonologist, but the thing is, most of them think that demonology is pretty silly, a little occulty. They don't really want to touch on that whole layer of things. They think it's weird, pseudoscience, etc. But he has a great explanation for this type of stuff. Now, we're not going to jump over to him quite yet. We're going to jump over to... What? Why does Danny Jones look like this? What year is this video from? What year is this? This 2021, bro, what are you doing? This is crazy. That's why I always say hair is a nuisance. Yes, I'm a hair hater because I don't have any hair. Yes. Okay. I get it. But when you're doing stuff like this is a nuisance. I never wake up and think that's how my head should look. I never wake up and think that. I don't have the dreadlocks like some black guys do, and I'm waving my head around trying to get them out of my eyes. I don't do all that. This is too much. All the respect in the world for Danny Jones. I'm just saying, what is this? With the NWO shirt? Come on, man. This is a little wild, but this is him talking with a man who did a documentary on who I brought up before, David Huggins. David Huggins, I'm going to show you a little bit about because I was able to find a article that's written about him, and I'm going to read you a little bit of what his encounters were like. And this guy should tell you a little bit too. Let's jump in.
And he claims that he had multiple children with these alien beings, and he held the children and wanted to go. It's bananas, the story.
It gets more and more bananas. Yeah, the children part was, because there's, I've been abducted. You've heard a lot of people say that, and maybe that's true. And then there's, I had sex with aliens. That's another level of sort of credulity. Like, will I believe that? But then I've had lots of hybrid babies with aliens that I've seen and held and played hide and seek with on the spaceship. And it's like, wow, I can't say I believe anymore. But I want to believe him in that something happened to him. But that detail and those details, it's just like too much. That's too much for me in my brain to imagine. Maybe that's just I can't think outside the box enough for that.
What was your first take dealing with this guy? Like the first weekend you spent with him, like what was your first reaction?
Just totally disarmed by so down to earth, so nice, normal, like plugged into the world, like into politics and everything. I would walk his street and meet all of his neighbors, and they all loved him. They all just thought of him as like the grandpa on the street. He'd been there 30 years. Go into his place of work, like David's the best. Most people just didn't even know that he had these experiences. He doesn't talk about them with most people. So I was getting this impression that I maybe was going to go there thinking he's going to be unhinged in some way. But
do you know how unfair that is to go to somebody's place of work and be like, so how is David? Has he ever told you he was doinking an alien lady? Has he ever gone over that with you? Apparently he was doing things with an alien woman. Do you know that about him? This guy's gonna ruin his whole life. The neighbors know about that now? Are you kidding me? There's a reason he's not telling people about that. What? Are you okay, man? I'm telling you, man, sometimes, reporters and documentarians, you got to know your place. Come on, man. You can't do that to the guy.
That's not the impression you get at all. And anyone that meets David is just like, wow. And then that cognitive dissonance starts to happen. You're like, well, someone that seems so normal, you're not going to write off as just crazy and he's making it up or he has paranoid delusions, because that doesn't seem like what's going on. And so then you really start thinking like, well, what could that be? And then that's, what I'm most interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, his massive collection of supernatural sci-fi movies on VHS. Did his obsession with these paranormal sci-fi movies start before these things happened to him? Before he started telling the stories, or at what point? Because in the documentary, you make the connection, or one of the guys you're interviewing makes the connection, saying that these real life experiences that people have directly affect these science fiction stories, and then it's a cycle, and then the science fiction stories affect the more real life situations people say they encounter.
Yeah.
So do you have like a timeline of when he started collecting all these movies and becoming obsessed with them?
Yeah.
So Napoleon Dynamite, that's who it is. That's who he looks like. Napoleon Dynamite. So Napoleon Dynamite. Why? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just like, who does this guy look like? So Napoleon Dynamite. Just Napoleon Dynamite and Joe Rogan had a baby. That's it.
So what's interesting is that seemed to happen later, just like in the 80s when he started collecting them, but he
early on was that movie. Did you ever see John Carpenter's The Thing, the 80s one? Where
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it's been
Kurt
so long.
Russell,
Yeah.
and it's like just these horribly disgusting like alien monsters. Well, the first version of that, the original version of that, came out the year that he had his first encounter. And so, or he watched it around that time, you know, probably in the theater or something. And so there's these things, you know, I'll hear things like that, and it's like, well, maybe then that's in your brain, and maybe you still had an experience, but you're like mapping on things that you're seeing. But still back in, you know, in the, I guess in the 50s and the 60s, that was kind of a UFO mania too. Like there was like reports of UFOs over the White House.
Yeah.
And, you know, he probably, because there was no internet, he's probably had very little exposure to this stuff, but it was still there and around. And especially when he started remembering most of it, that's in the 80s. And that's like, you know, prime UFO time.
Yeah, a lot of his stories, a lot of his drawings are very similar to a lot of other really popular events, and he doesn't have access to the internet, so how would he know?
Right, yeah. I don't know how much of that imagery I get the gray, definitely, I think everyone had seen, but insectoid beings.
The praying mantis.
Yeah, and the tall people, the alien women, those seem pretty unique. He did see, like, he had mentioned, like, in a Doctor Who episode that he saw, that he had mentioned he saw it, and he was like, oh, that's weird. It's like I'm having a memory, and I watched it, and it's like these giant ants, like these ant people that sort of look like his praying mantis. And so, again, it might be that he had these experiences, and then he saw these mantoid beings, and they remind him of him, or he saw those, and he's like, oh, I had, you know, mapping that onto in his own brain.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous how much this guy doesn't believe him. How are you doing a documentary? So Napoleon Dynamite. How are you doing a documentary about a guy who is getting it in with alien bombshells and you don't believe him? What are you doing? That right there, for me, you're all about the money. That's like, I don't know the guy. I apologize, but that's shill territory to me. You don't believe him at all. And you're like, well, let's go to his place of work. And what are you doing? You don't need to do all that. You don't even believe him. What are you doing? Leave him alone. Because then it comes off disrespectful, right? Because then you're like, oh, well, you know, this movie came out when he had this experience. So what are you doing, man? Like, respect the guy's experience at the very least. And I think he's wrong. I think he's 100% wrong. Just because he's like, it was prime UFO time back then. What do you mean it was prime UFO time? You mean there was many people experiencing these things? And that somehow makes all of them crazy, and him by extension, because he was one of the people who had these experiences? That doesn't make any sense. That makes zero sense. To me, listen, no pants on, tinfoil Speedo right now. I have tinfoil Speedo on and socks. That's it. So that's just so you know where this is coming from. But yeah, I think that's a little silly. I mean, I'm going to play the clip a little more, but come on, man. At least respect what the guy's saying. I'll be honest. I think the guy fully had these experiences. Again, this is why people need to connect. Because if this guy who made this documentary connected with Nathaniel Gillis, he might have a different idea of what's going on. The reason it sounds so wild and crazy, in my opinion, to people, is because it's the notion that they came from 500 light years away. And they bended time and reality just to come down onto Earth and start making babies, right? That's why it sounds so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, guys, fellas, ladies, cover your ears right now, okay? Talking to the guys right now. If there was somebody who was 100 miles away, she's an 8. She's an 8 and she's 100 miles away. Or there's a nice 7.2. And she's 10 minutes away. Where are you going? You're going to get 10 minutes away. You set up something nice. You're going to go 100 miles? You're going to bend time and space for this guy? Come on. You know what this guy looks like? Listen. I don't want no shade about what he looks like. I don't even want to show you that image. He's an old guy. That's all I'll say. There's an image where it's like, there's some stuff going on. But you know what I mean? What are we really doing? I guess, ladies, you would have that same type of thing. I know you weren't covering your ears. I know you weren't. You don't listen to me. I know. So what would you do? There's a guy 400 miles away. Or there's a guy, he's all right, you know? He has a little bit better than a dad bod. He has a 4-pack, not a 6-pack. Where are you going? You taking a plane? You taking a plane? No, of course not. Come on. So that's why it doesn't make much sense, because why would they travel so far and then land just to do all that weird stuff? Leave and come back repeatedly to do it. You know what I mean? Unless, like, humans got some of the best stuff going on in the galaxy. You know what I mean? Unless humans, maybe that's why the aliens show up, because we just got the goods. No one else. Everybody else just has big eyes, a small mouth. They got, like, no body structure. They're like, blip, blop, blip, blop, blip, blop, blip, blop. And we're the only ones. We're just built. We got biceps. We're strong, you know? Classy apes. Anyway, let's jump in.
It also reminds me of the whole Travis Walton story as well.
Right, yeah.
Like with the human/alien hybrids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which was very odd.
And more terrifying. Like David, the Travis Walton story is like truly terrifying. And David is just like, oh, I had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, your experience with him and Doc, how long did you film with him?
It happened over years, like maybe 3 years or something, but I would only go like a couple weekends per year to shoot with him because it was all self-funded. I got a little money from a production company, but it just docs take forever, and then it took like 2 years to edit it and put it together. But I'd basically, the first time I went and saw him was like 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
I take back the shill comment. Okay, this guy's self-funded, you know. Okay. I take it back. He's just an odd guy spending his time on things he doesn't believe in. That's just weird.
And he still calls me like every other day.
Does he really?
Yeah, he just checks in. He'll tell me if he had a weird dream, if someone buys one of his paintings. He just wants to know what's going on with me.
I want to buy one of his paintings.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing.
You got to do it in person.
Yeah. Okay, you got to fly there and buy from him.
Pretty much, or if you have a friend in New York.
So is this guy full of shit? Did this happen to him? What's your take?
My take is, knowing him, he didn't make it up. He experienced something. And it's hard for me to believe that it's exactly as he described it. But so he might be like in the movie, the professor of religious studies says, we experienced something, but then popular culture is how we filter it and see it, because we can't even comprehend what that reality really is. So maybe, that's what I more lean to, that David was having what classically would be called mystical experiences, which are similar to psychedelic experiences without the drugs. Right. And yeah, they're like almost like religious experiences that David was having. And maybe it's like some kind of epilepsy. Like I talked to some neurologist or neuroentheologist, and there are types of waking hour epilepsy that they're very vivid hallucinations. Maybe, everyone's wrong and he has some kind of paranoid, delusional personality disorder. Maybe he is making it up, or maybe something really happened to him. Like all these things it could be. But I would just say that I think that he's just not lying. That's all I can say, is that he's not lying, that strange things happen to him or he experienced strange things. And he's telling it as he remembers it. But if I were like with David when one of these things were happening, I don't think I would have seen what he was seeing. I don't think they were really happening in our like objective reality as we see it. Yeah.
Sort of, it was like almost in another dimension, like a dream-like state.
Who knows? Yeah. And I also, I want to clarify, I'm not saying that like all UFO sightings are this either.
Okay.
Because I think those can be different things. Like UFOs, which now we have footage of from the military.
Right.
That's a big leap still from being abducted and from having sex with whoever's on these UFOs. They don't have to be the same thing, and I think a lot of people get caught up in that.
Well, the funny thing,
Man, so Napoleon Dynamite. Thank you, Napoleon. That's all for today. Come on. What's going on there? What are you doing? You see Julian Dorian recently too? His hair is like the same way. What's going on? Is that why I'm not a part of the club? Because I can't do my hair in weird ways when the billionaires tell me to? Is that why I'm not in the club? Because I can't do that? Yeah, well, guess I won't be in the club then. But it's here's the thing. When I was talking to Nathaniel, because there's one thing that guy said. And I should know his name. I'm sorry, guys. His name is Brad Abrahams. So there's one thing that Brad was saying. Brad was saying that maybe what happened is pop culture filters our reality when it comes to whatever the experience was. Nathaniel actually told me something very different. He was saying that it's actually them that filter themselves for us. Okay? That's what he was saying. It's actually them that will take form of an alien gray. They'll take form of some, wild, terrifying looking demon. They'll take form as someone we know and love inside of a dream. They'll take form as an ex and things like that. Like that's what he's saying. It's crazy. Honestly, it was such a crazy interview. Most viewed interview. Couldn't believe it. In fact, the same guy is now on Sam Tripoli's podcast. He probably, I would think, he saw him on mine because Sam follows. Sam follows both channels actually. Shout out to Sam Tripoli. Come on my podcast, please, sir. That would be wild. That'd be a wild one. Gonna censor. You're gonna have to put it on Patreon or something. All right, so this is actually David. Now, obviously, I am blurring out what you're seeing here because this is David laying on the ground with an alien on top of him. Yes, that's right. Complete straddle position. That right there is David. Okay. Now, who knows? Maybe throughout the universe, he is a solid 9.8. Okay. And this alien lady was like, I'm not going anywhere but Earth. Let me jump in there. I had a prison joke I was gonna make because people talk about Earth being like a prison, being a prison planet. And maybe I'm not even gonna get into a stupid joke. Let's jump in. According to Huggins, these extraterrestrials he had a sexual relationship with continued into adulthood. When I interviewed him, Huggins told me his last encounter with Crescent is the female that visits him in the woods, was 6 months ago. And this article is from, when is this article from? So he said 6 months ago. When did they make this article? This article is, why doesn't it say? Oh man. This is not recent. What year is this from? Oh man. Come on, Vice. This is why Vice went out of business. There it is, 2018. So from 2018, he said 6 months ago. So this has been going on for a very long time, as you can tell. I was sitting in a chair and the woman, Crescent, was behind me and put her arms around me, he said. And that's about it. I don't know anything else outside of that. Huggins unnervingly is unnervingly a matter of fact when he talks about his encounters. He's just confident. Like, I don't know. Like, how else is he supposed to be? He's going to be nervous? The guy likes what he's doing. He's with a chick. Like, how else are you going to talk about it? It sets him apart from the other people that they've interviewed, enthusiasts. He's not, let's see, when he talks about this. Where are the quotes? Let me jump over here. Now, here's him. Here's a quote from him. I am sitting under a tree and I hear a voice say, David, behind you. I turn around and there's this little hairy guy with glowing eyes coming straight towards me. This is when he was a kid. I thought it was the boogeyman. I didn't know what to think of it, he says in the film. Another day, an insect-like being that reminded Huggins of a praying mantis appeared. I was terrified. He says it was like, what in the world am I looking at? For an 8-year-old, you don't know what to think. So this is just him just telling all his experiences. And, oh man, there's some images I just can't show. Here, I'll show this one. Here, look at this one. So this is him just showing what he sees in the forest. Alien, young people, older people, all coming around him, being around him. Let me see what this is another experience when he talks about her eyes, Crescent. This is exactly what her eyes looked like. It's such a wild encounter. And the thing is, all these paintings that I'm showing you, these are all his paintings. He paints these. Let me see if I can show. Can I show this one? I can't even show this one. Whatever. Nah, I can't show it. It's just him holding the picture of the alien lady on top of him, and he just has a huge smile on his face. So he was having a good time, unlike most people who experience abduction stories. But here's the thing. When you start hearing Nathaniel talk about what he has been researching and reporting on, you start to realize he's not the only one that's had a good time. There are many people who have had good times doing what they do together. Let's jump over here and listen to Nathaniel talk about it. Let me make sure the speed's right. Of course, it's not. Let's go back to normal. Let's jump in. Listen to this.
Origins of possession. When people think of possession, they think of The Conjuring or The Exorcist.
Mhm.
They don't think of anthropology. So James Frazier, in his book The Golden Bow, talks about the origins of possession long before Catholicism kind of said, okay, yeah, this is horns and hooves. He talks about how, again, that practitioners before their body would die, they would astrally project or leave their bodies, and they would possess someone else.
Oh, you're talking about like Chucky. That's like the story of
Chucky.
Chucky.
Yes. So exactly right. Exactly right. So then possession would not just be the relocation of consciousness, it would be the replication of life.
Wow.
It would be to extend their own existence. Now, what would you say?
Just real quick, you see that face right there? That's me. That's me being like, oh man, is this guy nuts? Do I really understand what he's saying? That's what I'm thinking right there. You know, just trying to. I'm like, what on earth is this guy talking about? But it makes sense.
Say if I told you we've had cases of possession and pregnancy at the same time, where the same demon that possessed the woman impregnated her at the same time. Now, let me take it a step further. Possession to us is pregnancy to them. Okay. What do you mean, Nathaniel? Unpack that for us. I will. All right. Glad you asked. No, let me go here for a second. In the 16th century, we had cases, again, where entities were visiting women in the middle of the night. The same phenomenology, right?
Yeah.
We're going to induce them in a dreamlike state. We're going to hover directly over them, by the way. And I've had cases like that where the experiencer he's hovering over top of me right now. What is it? I can't tell what it is. I can't see its face. It's very strange stuff. But anyways, we're in the middle of the night. They're being accosted, assaulted by an entity that's hovering directly over them. They copulate. And the woman wakes up the next day thinking, okay, that was just a nightmare. It's just a dream demon. No big deal. Only to find out later on when they're at work and washing and everything that there are bruises and marks, sigils on their bodies that directly correlate with what they thought was just a nightmare. Now,
yeah, go ahead. But I
It
have something
happened.
to bring up to you. Yeah.
Okay. So after that, next thing you know, they start having like symptoms of schizophrenia, and languages start coming out of them where something that was in them had a different language preference. Again, a symptom of possession, to where their mouths weren't moving, but as one exorcist said, they use us as wind-like instruments, to where they will possess and use us, our cavity, to amplify their own voices. And so sure enough, the entity that had accosted them is now commandeering them as an avatar. So they go to present. Now, there was approximately a dozen or so women that suffered this in the 16th century, specifically in a village in Israel called Safdi. They present themselves to the exorcist, the rabbi. And the rabbi's there with physicians. Do you think this woman's crazy? Like, what's going on? Well, she seems pretty she seems pretty, good on that area. Like, what's going on though? As they're communicating with the entity, they start looking at the woman and they're like, okay, are you pregnant at all? No. You're not? No. I've never been with a man. Or, right, has it been recent? I'm not pregnant. Well, we're asking, they had conversations like, okay, we're asking because you're showing. So they perform what's called the Lavouche method, where they put the thumb on the wrist. They found 2 heartbeats in one body and 2 pulses in one body, all of which was hers. Why is a different heartbeat in your body? Why is it? That's when they realized, wait a minute. Did you have a dream demon? Did you copulate with anything in your nightmare? Well, matter of fact, right, a month or so ago, I had a dream. It was a really bad dream. I just thought it was a dream, not realizing, no, it wasn't. That was an entity.
This is terrible, because this is like some of people's most favorite dreams.
Oh,
where we get to do this kind of
funny. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the conversation, like the emails I've received in the past. They were like, "Well, I don't like it." It's like, well, all right. It's very strange, you know. Um, what was wild was again, you have these exorcists conversing with each other, and they came to a startling conclusion that redefined and recontextualized all of hybridism. And that was that this woman was not just possessed by the entity, she was pregnant by it. And that she was not just pregnant by the entity, she was pregnant with it.
Now, this when I heard that, I
Mhm.
heard a clip where you're talking about this.
Yeah.
And the first thing that came to mind. Now, have you heard about the RFK? He had a running mate, Nicole Shanahan. I can take it from here, Colin. That was just about Burning Man, how there was someone there and they had no signs of being with child whatsoever. And as soon as they burnt the man, that's what they do at Burning Man, somebody passed away and they were laying there in a pool of, they were gone. And all of a sudden that woman went into labor, like nothing, had no just went into labor right at that time. It was very, very odd, but it kind of correlated with what he was talking about. Now, there's another part that I want to show you guys. Ex-girlfriend. Is there no girlfriend? Okay, let's just do girlfriend then. How about that? Girlfriend. Oh, he had broken up with his girlfriend. Perfect. Check this out. This is a weird one. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So my friend's like, Nathaniel, he goes, I haven't shared the story with anybody. He's like, so if you share it, don't tell anybody my name. So I'm not. But he had broken up with a girlfriend. They were almost engaged. It didn't work out. And he broke up with her and moved across town, changed his phone number, got a different job. And about a year later, he gets home from work, and he's turning on the news, just kind of, just chill out, put some peaches on, relax. Somebody knocks on his door. It's like, man, this is like 1 a.m. What's going on? Opens the door. It's that ex-girlfriend. She stays the night, or kind of. In the middle of the night, he wakes up and she's gone. There's no evidence that she was there at all.
Oh, man.
So
I already had chills as soon as he said that. Oh, no.
That's like the least of the cases, brother. I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff is really dark. So the next day he goes to work, but there's just this weird lingering feeling that he has. And finally he gets the nerve. He's like, you know what? None of this makes sense. He's put two and two together. There was no evidence she was even there. They copulated, like he has that memory.
Yeah.
There's no physical evidence. And so the next day, when he gets off of work, he's like talking. He texts a friend like, "Hey, by the way, I know I shouldn't be doing this, and it's not because I'm trying to get back together or anything. I'm just trying to figure out." He starts. Did I freeze again?
Yeah, for a second. Keep going.
That's weird. So, long story short, he gets a hold of her. Like he texts a friend who gets her new number and all that, and he calls her. He's like, "Listen, I just want to know like what happened." And she's like, "Well, what do you mean what happened?" "Well, you came over last night and then you left abruptly, and the bed was made, like that part of the bed was made, and it was like you weren't even there. And number one, how did you know where I live?" And she goes ballistic on him. Ballistic. "I'm with somebody. You know that. I'm happy now. I have no idea what you're talking about. I wasn't even in Colin, I wasn't even in town, and you're out of your mind, and stop calling me." Click. So this is some of the ancient manifestations of the phenomenon. I mean,
So the reason that I'm showing you that is because, like he says in that interview, as we go on, he talks about how they will change based on what you are willing to accept. So if you're only willing to accept the ex-girlfriend, it will appear as that. If you're only willing to accept the gray alien with, a rock solid body, if that's your thing, it will appear as that, it'll keep on, it'll do whatever is accepting to you. Right. Very odd stuff. But that's what I think's going on with what Joe's talking about, this whole hybridization thing. If you move away from UFOs and you go to what Nathaniel's been talking about, which is, as he puts it, an ancient occult practitioner that is able to move their consciousness and soul into someone's body when they get too old. So if I get too old and I want to stay young and I want to stay alive, I will move my soul, consciousness, body into another body and keep continuing from there. Or in the case that Nathaniel's talking about, move myself into a fetus, into a baby, and then be born and start my life again, having full knowledge as I guess it's almost like the movie Get Out, the where there's two consciousness, one is kind of tied up and the other one is taking full control. It's kind of like that. So that child, their consciousness is like in the background, and now this entity is taken over. This entity will live whatever life and move towards the occult once again when it's old enough, and et cetera, et cetera. Just keep on, having a life, keep on living and living and living, because they don't want to become disembodied, because they don't want to ever have to either feel the consequences of hell, or even worse, have to roam the earth, no body, no chance of being worshipped, no interaction with humans, all the things that demons want. And yes, I did wait 46 minutes to bring up demons, because that's what I think it is. So just something to think about here. This guy, Huggins, who thought he was interacting with this alien woman, seeing all these children and everything, in reality, maybe it was that. And that's how you become more accepting. That's how you build more trust, perhaps. I mean, let's go real tinfoil speedo with Huggins's case. The entity shows him children, so the trust builds. So there's never a resistance to what's going on. Now, throughout that, sorry, I should keep up with this thought. So there's never a resistance to what's going on. That way, when this lady, Crescent, shows up, he's always accepting. He's always accepting. He's always willing to give, what they need. And again, when you listen to the interview with Nathaniel, he's talking about the same thing that Joe was talking about, which is the fact that there is always, I'll just say fluids. There's always fluids left over in a lot of these abduction experiences. That's the part that doesn't come up that much. But there is always fluids. They don't know what it is. It's not like you can see it and see the DNA and this. They don't know what it is. And they're so baffled by everything that happened that a little something on a dress is just like, whatever. Or a little something on the pant leg of a guy is just like, whatever. It's very, very weird. Very weird. I know. We just touched on a lot of different stuff, but demons at the end of the day, just so you know. Man, yeah, just weird stuff. Go listen to that interview again. It's in a playlist that I have called Interviews, as you can see right there. Polarity, Nathaniel, Gigi Young, hospice nurse, Christina Gomez. There's so many interviews there. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring that to you. We've ran a little long here. I'm out of here.